So there have been some things that I have been avoiding doing, and I figured what better time to film a video about motivation than to do this unmotivated, because I'm going to give you some real tips, tricks, advice, ways that I kind of make myself have motivation when I have none. Some tips and tricks you might have heard of before. Some things might be entirely new because sometimes I have to get creative to make myself motivated to do something, I'm going to be honest. And by the end of this, you better be motivated to do the things you've been avoiding too. So let's go. All right, so tip number 1 is to think of the end result first. Let me explain what I mean. If you're so stuck on the mindset of, I don't want to do this task, obviously it's going to feel hard. But if you focus on the bigger picture and focus on what the end result will be, it might help you find a little bit of motivation. I don't want to clean out my camper, but I do want to sell my camper, so I have to do one if I want the other. So if I focus on the end result, it definitely helps me find motivation to actually get it done because I can see the end result. I can see the camper being cleaned, which helps me clean it out. There's a thing I've heard in a couple different self-help books or podcasts and all that where it says if you just give yourself 5 minutes to do the task you don't want to do, you can either stop after 5 minutes or normally it kind of gets the ball rolling to actually just continue working on the task. It's a lot easier when you just focus on one small task at a time instead of trying to think of every single thing you have to do on your list. So instead of thinking about the whole essay you have to write, just think about maybe one small sentence. If you just tell yourself you're going to sit down for 5 minutes and write the first sentence and that's it, that'll definitely help you out. Oof, sorry, I really had to lock in there. I even had to change my pants because it got so hot out. But that was point number 1, is to think about the end result. Think about the big picture. You know, what's going to happen if I do the task and what's going to happen if I don't do the task. And that kind of brings me to point number 2. So I'm going to finish up in here and then I'm going to change and meet you in my car for point number 2. All right, so tip number 2 on ways to find motivation is to keep your future self in mind. Let me explain what I mean. I'm going to be honest, I was sick this whole last week and I was not feeling motivated to go to the gym, but that is what we are going to do. We are on our way to the gym and to get groceries. I don't usually lack motivation to go to the gym, but this last week, like I said, I was sick and I waited till I was fully recovered. And I, somewhere in there, just kind of, when you take a week off from doing something, you kind of just lose the motivation you maybe had. I made it my goal to go to the gym at least once a week this past year. And I've been very consistent at it, but I've only been doing that for 8 weeks. We're not too far into the new year yet, but 2026 is a year of goals. So we are doing it. I am going to go to the gym again, even though I'm not motivated to, and we're going to talk about what I mean when I say to do things for your future self. Pretty much what I mean is if you're eating something that you shouldn't be eating, or buying something that's not helping with your long-term savings goals, or you skip the gym because you just don't want to go, you're not helping a future version of yourself at all. You're just doing what's comfortable in the moment, and that's not going to help you long term. I'm already out of breath. That's one of my biggest motivators, is doing stuff with my future self in mind. I always look back and I'm thankful when I ate the good food because I feel better, or when I did the workout because now I'm physically stronger. So let me ask you this. What goals are you trying to accomplish? Every decision you make today affects that future version of yourself. So the best way I find motivation is to just always keep that future version of myself in mind. There's actually a study that was done that if you say you're going to do something and then you don't do it and you lie to yourself, you actually lose self-confidence and lose trust in yourself. Now, that's not something I want to do. So if that's not a big motivator for you, then maybe tip number 3 will motivate you better. That post-gym glow. Point number 3 is that your comfort zone is killing you. I just arrived to the grocery store, and it's a random thought that I had when I was planning this video that we just don't allow ourselves to be bored anymore. So often, we just turn to our phones or something else to fill our time instead of using our boredom as a way to kind of propel us to actually do something. Sometimes when I have a hard task at hand, I'll give myself two options. I can either sit there and be bored, or I can get the task done. You'd be surprised at how often we just don't like to be bored. Or maybe it's just me and I just don't like to sit still, but I often use boredom as a great way to motivate myself to get something done. I feel like there's a reason why people think they have great ideas whenever they take a long shower or go for a long road trip. It's because those are the only times they allow themselves to just be alone with their thoughts. Being bored is a great motivator because that's the only time you actually allow yourself to not have a distraction going on and actually give yourself some time to think. Boredom is a great motivator. But yes, as I was saying at the beginning of this point, your comfort zone is killing you. Go out there and be bored, get off your phone, and just decide to go do the things. I know staying comfortable is so much easier, but you'll feel so much better if you just go get out and do it. But let's go back home for point number 4, which is honestly my favorite tip.
All right, so point number 4 is actually something I learned since starting a YouTube channel, and this one's a little weird. It might not be for everyone, but I actually learned that filming yourself is a great way to not only get the motivation to do a task, but to do the task really well. And you know what? Let's tie it back to point number 2. You're doing it for your future self. Someone is relying on you to get this task done. Your future self will greatly appreciate you doing the task and you doing the task really well. And like I said, this might not be for everyone, but genuinely, even if you don't film yourself and you just pretend like you have a fake audience or like someone relying on you to do the thing, you're way more likely to get the task done. Look at that, this is now done. Thanks to you guys for watching. Whew. Now let's move on to tip number 5.
Is you only have today. Like, think about it. If you're not willing to do it today, and tomorrow is going to be another today. Yesterday was also today. You know what I mean? Your life is only full of todays. And if you weren't inspired to do it now, you're probably not going to be inspired to get the task done later. So think about your today as being more valuable than maybe we give it, and get some stuff done. And this kind of ties back into the whole like help your future self thing out, because think about it, if you just keep putting off to tomorrow what you know you need to get done today, you're not helping your future self out. Trust me, if you just do the thing today, or at least get started on it, tomorrow you is going to be really grateful. Or like, how often do we make ourselves busy with like unimportant tasks? You know, when you have one really important thing to do, but instead you decide to clean your room or maybe take out the trash or do things that still feel productive, but you're not actually getting the main task done that you need to get done. We make ourselves busy in order to feel productive, but we're not actually doing the important thing. Stop putting off for tomorrow, because tomorrow is just going to be another today. I did it. I finished all the things that I had to do, and I know you can too. I feel so much better now that all of the tasks on my list are completed. And yeah, I hope you were able to find some motivation throughout all of this. I low-key forgot to clean the outside of the camper the other day when I had cleaned the inside of the camper, so finding that extra motivation to go back to the camper was challenging, but we did it. You and me, we did it. We didn't let our future selves down. We are going to be so grateful tomorrow when, you know, you wake up and your task is done. Well, hopefully you were able to find some motivation from this, and I will see you next week.